A little while ago, I tried to read what I thought was the longest book I could find in Barnes & Noble, which was War and Peace. But now I realize that's not actually true. There's a book you can find that doesn't necessarily look a lot thicker, but it's a lot longer. War and Peace is just under 600,000 words long, and this book is just under 800,000. The version I have of this book is over 1,800 pages long, which means I'm going to have to read over 60 pages a day, which might not sound like that much until you realize that this book has 2 columns of writing per page, which means you're reading pretty much double the amount of writing per page. Not to mention the font is tiny and the pages are super ultra thin. So as you can tell, this is probably going to be one of the hardest reading challenges I've ever made myself do before, but I'm so excited to try it. Today is January 6th, and in 31 days from now, I will be able to say that I have read the entire Bible in 1 month. This is day 1. I don't know how long it takes me to read 60 pages of the Bible, so I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes and see how much I can do in that amount of time. Hopefully it's a decent amount. I don't know. In 30 minutes, I got to 10 pages, which is not that much. I was kind of hoping it would be more because I need to do 60 a day. But I don't want to get rid of underlining things and really trying to understand things for speed. That means I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time reading this book every day. I'm probably going to be bringing this on my lunch break, staying up pretty late at night this month to read, but I think it's gonna be worth it. It's day 2. I was able to read a decent amount on my lunch break, and now I'm going to start reading again. But I wanted to say that last night I was clearly very worried about not being able to hit my 60 pages. I really did not think I was going to be able to do it. So it's getting close to the end of the first day, and I'm feeling very dejected, to say the least. I am only 30 pages in. I feel like I should be done by now, and I'm only halfway through. But right before I went to bed, I decided to read a little bit more, but I'm going to keep reading more tonight, and I'll just see how much I end up doing. And I ended up reading a lot more than I expected, and I actually hit my 60 pages. That gave me a lot more hope that I might be able to actually continue to do this and do this every day for 31 days. I have been reading for so long tonight, more than I have, I think, any other night thus far. But that is because I just got to the end of Genesis, and I'm so happy that I finally have one book of the Bible down. As I hold that up, it really doesn't look like that much, but it felt like a lot. I love reading the stories that are actual like stories, and they have a plot with a beginning and an end. There was a few sections where they just read off names, but it wasn't too long, so it wasn't that bad. I am actually pretty behind where I should be, but the good thing is that tomorrow's Friday and the weekend's coming up, and I'm planning on literally just reading the Bible all day on Saturday and Sunday, and hopefully I will get caught up because of that. For now, I'm moving into Exodus, which I'm really, really excited about. So then I started reading through Exodus. I don't know why I didn't really film that much of Exodus and I didn't talk much about it, but I did want to say that Exodus was a really good book of the Bible. And then the next thing I knew, I was already in Leviticus. This is also part of my reading journey where things started to go really downhill as far as keeping up with the amount that I needed to read each day. It was really stressing me out being so early on in the challenge and already being pretty far behind. So just prepare yourself for the stress that is to come. I kind of had a little panic moment. I am so far behind. I have been supposed to be reading 60 pages a day, so I was like, oh no, I'm so far behind. I keep having to remind myself that these pages have much more words because I can only really find time to read that much on nights after I get back from work. So many more words on each page. The pages are super thin, so that's just what I have to keep reminding myself before I get too discouraged. So I read a bunch last night and then a lot this morning, and I am already 184 pages in. I'm on chapter 20 of Leviticus. I think Leviticus ends on page like 200, so I only have 15 pages left of Leviticus to get through. Right now it's 11:30. By 12:30 I'm going to be done with Leviticus. I'm going to read for this next hour as much as I can, and in 1 hour I'll be done with it. And then officially done, and I'm very happy that it is. I did actually get a decent amount out of it. It helped me to learn a little bit more of the context of who the people were, how they needed to live with so many rules and regulations. Some of the rules seem really crazy, things that are like obviously very bad things to do, and yet God has to list them out specifically because they don't know any better. That being said, I'm this far in now. I love looking at the amount. That makes me feel a lot better than looking at the page number. I'm finally catching up on how far behind I got throughout this week, and I'm very relieved about that. I'm honestly, because I have so much time to read today, I'm going to try to get through all of Numbers by the end of today. So then I just read through all of Numbers. I didn't end up finishing it that day, but I finished it early the next morning, so I was happy with that. Then I entered into one of the hardest books of the Bible that I read, at least thus far at the time. I know there's probably a lot of like great things in Deuteronomy, and there's probably a lot I can get out of it, but I'm just being honest. I'm getting really tired of this story. I just read 4 books of the Bible from Exodus all the way through Deuteronomy. It's kind of like all the same story, all of just these Israelites constantly just doing bad things. It's just like they keep messing up over and over and over again, and I'm getting a little bit tired of this story. I'm just being honest. I'm gonna keep going through it. I know if there's a book of the Bible in the Bible, it's there for a reason, and there's probably something I can get out of it. So then I read for a while longer, but I was looking for any excuse to take a break. So this is me looking for new pens for underlining and note taking. Also, during this time, I accidentally filmed a bunch of clips in slow motion, which is really annoying because I have no idea what I was saying here. It didn't even pick up audio. But I think I said something like, I love Deuteronomy. It's the best book ever, and I wish I could read it over and over again. Okay, but all jokes aside, it really wasn't that bad, and before I knew it, I had finished. Okay, so I have read a decent amount since about this time yesterday. I finished Deuteronomy, and then late last night I stayed up and read through about half of Joshua, and then woke up this morning and read the rest. So I'm doing pretty well on time for my goal I wanted to reach by the end of the day today, which is to get through Judges, which I started just like 30 minutes ago. For the rest of today, I'm going to read as much as Judges as possible. I would love to get done with Judges by tonight. That being said, this was a ton of reading I had to do over these past couple of days, and I was really lucky this weekend to, number one, have a 3-day weekend where I could just dedicate to reading, and also I just had a lot of spare time this weekend to dedicate to reading. I've been spending every single second of my spare time reading this book. I've gotten so like in this routine. Like when I'm at work, I sit there and I go, can't wait to just get home and read my Bible and then eat dinner and just read more of my Bible, and that's literally all I do all night. I started to get like excited for it. Look at this. This is a solid chunk of the Bible that I have read. Anyway, I am still trudging through Judges. It's starting to get a little bit more complicated than it was before, because before there was a lot of different people, but at least they were all from like the same family. Now that I'm getting into Judges, there's a lot of new names, there's a lot of new people, and it's kind of difficult to keep track of who is who. I just read over the story of Gideon, which I really like. I'm also starting to get really excited to get into the New Testament. Part of it is a little bit exhausting to read the Old Testament because, again, it's this repetition of all these different people are just stumbling over and over and over again and messing up over and over and over again. And then they'll do something right for a little bit and then they mess up again. I'm, for the first time, really seeing how desperately we need all that happens in the New Testament. So I'm excited to get there. But before that, we have a lot to get through. And by a lot, I mean a lot to get through. And trust me, it gets even crazier as time goes on. And I filmed it all, so part 2 is coming very soon.